Imagine waking up every morning knowing the exact second you're going to die, and realizing the only reason it's getting closer is because someone else wants to live forever. In this world, money doesn't exist. Kindness is expensive. Love is dangerous. Every coffee costs minutes of your life. Every mistake costs hours. And the system is designed so the poor don't run out of hope. They run out of time. This isn't a movie about the future. It's a horror story about an economy where the rich don't kill you with weapons. They kill you slowly, legally, and on schedule. The movie opens in a dystopian future where money is obsolete. Time is the only currency. To buy anything, a cup of coffee, a bus ride, a place to live, you pay with minutes, hours, or years from your own lifespan, transferred through a glowing green clock embedded in your forearm. Everyone stops aging at 25, but from that birthday onward, the clock starts counting down. When it hits 0, you die instantly. The rich, living in luxurious fortified zones like New Greenwich, have accumulated centuries and live in immortal opulence. The poor, crammed into ghettos like Dayton, live day to day, working endless hours just to earn another day of life. In Dayton, we meet Will Salas, a 28-year-old factory worker whose clock shows he has less than a day left. He lives with his mother, Rachel, who looks as young as he does. It's her 50th birthday. To celebrate, Will worked overtime to buy a bottle of champagne, a rare luxury. She is touched but worries about him. Asking why he doesn't date or dream of a better life, Will's answer is simple: who has the time? Rachel reveals she must travel across the city to pay their crippling electricity bill and a bank loan. She has only 3 days on her clock, and the payments will cost nearly all of it. She makes Will promise to meet her at the bus stop the next evening so she can get some time from him before her clock runs out. Before she leaves, she gives him 30 minutes from her own clock so he can buy a decent breakfast. On his way to work, a little girl approaches Will with an empty time capsule, a storage device for the currency. She asks for a few minutes. Will smiles kindly and transfers 5 precious minutes into her capsule. This small act of generosity in a world built on selfishness defines him. At his factory, he goes to buy coffee and is hit with inflation. The price has doubled overnight from 2 minutes to 4. Resentful but powerless, he pays and starts his shift. That night, Will goes to a bar with his friend, Burrell. Burrell is a drunk, constantly on the edge of expiry. He points out a mysterious stranger buying drinks for everyone. The man is surrounded by women, and more strikingly, his forearm clock glows with over a century of time. Will knows instantly this man is from New Greenwich. No one in Dayton has more than a couple of days. Concerned, Will warns the man that he's a target for time thieves in this neighborhood and should leave. The man, amused and drunk, dismisses Will's concerns. His fears are proven right when the bar is stormed by a gang of time thieves, led by a brutal figure named Fortis. Everyone flees. Fortis targets the rich man, challenging him to a time fight. A brutal arm wrestling match where the loser's time is forcibly drained until they die. The rich man, too intoxicated to compete, asks for a few minutes to sober up. Fortis grants his last wish and sends a henchman to escort him to the bathroom. Seeing the man vomit, knowing he'll be murdered, Will acts. He knocks out the henchman, pulls the disoriented man from the bathroom, and helps him escape into the night, leading him to a hidden, abandoned factory to hide from Fortis and his gang. In the safety of the abandoned factory, Will confronts the rich man, who introduces himself as Henry Hamilton. Will is baffled, asking why Henry would recklessly waste his time among dangerous people. Henry, who is 105 years old, reveals he is tired of living. He has experienced everything and no longer wants a life built, as he explains, on a monstrous system. Henry unveils the brutal truth to a disbelieving Will. The separate time zones and the constant sudden inflation in the ghettos are not accidents. They are deliberate design. The rich in places like New Greenwich manipulate prices to keep the poor in a perpetual state of desperation, forcing them to work endlessly just to survive another day. Every day of the rich's immortal lives is bought with time siphoned from the deaths of the poor. Henry is so disgusted by this system that he no longer wishes to be a part of it. He asks Will what he would do if he had a century of time. Will, who currently has only 18 hours and constantly checks his clock in fear, says he would stop watching the clock every second. He would buy a nice house in New Greenwich for his mother, so they could live there in peace. The two men spend the night in the factory. In the morning, Will awakens to find Henry gone. He checks his clock out of habit and is stunned to see he now has over 116 years. On a window, written in dust, are Henry's last words to him. "Don't waste my time. Will looks out and sees Henry sitting on the ledge of a distant bridge. He sprints toward him, but he is too late. Henry's clock counts down its final seconds, and he falls to his death in the river below. A willing sacrifice. Will is horrified and heartbroken, but now holds a fortune. Knowing he will be blamed for Henry's murder if he stays, he goes to his friend Burrell. He gives Burrell 10 years as a parting gift, telling him he must leave Dayton for New Greenwich to live the life he promised his mother. He then goes directly to the bus stop where he promised to meet his mother, bouquet in hand, ready to share his new wealth and rescue her from their grinding poverty. Meanwhile, Rachel has paid off the debts, draining her clock. She boards a bus home, only to discover the fare has doubled overnight from 1 hour to 2. She has only 90 minutes left. She pleads with the driver and the other passengers, promising her son will pay at the next stop. But in this world, no one gives time away. She is kicked off the bus. With the next stop miles away and time running out, she has no choice but to run for her life, sprinting desperately toward the meeting point as her clock ticks down relentlessly. Will watches as bus after bus arrives, but his mother is not on any of them. Panic sets in. He starts running down the route, searching for her. At that same moment, Rachel is in a desperate race against her own clock, now down to mere minutes. She pounds on car windows and house doors, begging strangers for just a few seconds. But in Dayton, no one gives time away. The system of fear and scarcity has made everyone cruel. Will spots her in the distance, sprinting toward him. He runs toward her, his hand outstretched to transfer time the moment they touch. Rachel runs with everything she has left. They are just feet apart when her clock hits 0. She collapses, dead in his arms, mere inches from salvation. Will's agonizing screams fill the air. His new fortune of centuries is now a hollow, bitter prize. In his grief, his target shifts from mere survival to revenge. He knows the system, the manipulated inflation, the engineered poverty, killed his mother as surely as if someone had shot her. He decides to take the fight to the source, New Greenwich. To enter the rich zone, Will must pay a toll of 1 full year. He pays it without hesitation and steps into a world of shocking opulence. Here, people have millennia on their clocks. Bodyguards have more time than entire neighborhoods in Dayton. The waste and decadence fills Will with a cold, focused rage. He checks into an extravagant hotel, where a beautiful young woman named Sylvia catches his eye across the dining room. Meanwhile, the authorities, known as Timekeepers, are investigating Henry Hamilton's death. The lead investigator, a determined and cynical man named Raymond Leon, finds no clear evidence at the bridge until he reviews CCTV footage. The camera didn't catch the fall, but it did capture Will Salas standing nearby just before it happened. Raymond's suspicion is confirmed when his team reports that a man named Will Salas just paid a massive year-long toll to enter New Greenwich. Raymond immediately mobilizes his team to head to the wealthy zone. Unaware he is now a hunted man, Will heads to an exclusive casino. He finds a high-stakes poker game and sits down with a group of arrogant millionaires, including the most powerful of them all, Philippa Weiss, who owns the central time bank that controls the entire system's lending. Sylvia is there, revealed to be Philippe's daughter. The men laugh at the newcomer, but Will is a skilled gambler. In a breathtaking move, he bets his entire fortune, over a century, on a single hand against Philippe, and wins, taking more than 1,000 years from the banking magnate. Sylvia is deeply impressed by his daring and invites him to a party at her father's mansion the following night. At the lavish party, Will and Sylvia connect, dancing and talking. She is drawn to his raw, genuine nature, so different from the immortal, bored elites she knows. But their moment is shattered when Timekeeper Raymond Leon storms in with his squad. He arrests Will, branding him a murderer in front of everyone. Disillusioned, Sylvia turns away from him. Raymond confiscates nearly all of Will's time, leaving him with only 2 hours, and prepares to take him to a prison where he will be locked away for the rest of his very short life. Knowing a prison sentence is a death sentence, Will seizes a split-second opportunity. He fights his way free, disarms a timekeeper, and takes Sylvia hostage, using her as a shield to escape the mansion. He forces her into a car and, driving like a maniac, manages to lose Raymond's pursuit, crossing back into the dangerous ghetto of Dayton. During the chaotic escape, their time is running critically low. Will, down to minutes, begs Sylvia for a loan, but she refuses, still believing he is Henry Hamilton's murderer. In his desperation to reach someone who can help, Will doesn't see a spike strip laid across the road, a trap set by Fortis and his gang. The car crashes through a barrier and flips. Will and Sylvia are knocked unconscious. Fortis finds them, Seeing Sylvia has 10 years on her clock, he drains her time completely and leaves them both for dead. When they come to, they are stranded with almost no time. Sylvia has 30 minutes, Will even less. In a selfless act that shocks her, Will gives her half of his remaining minutes, equalizing their clocks and ensuring they have the same desperate chance. This act begins to crack her belief that he is just a thief and a killer. Will takes her to the home of his friend Burrell, to whom he had given 10 years. Burrell's widow answers the door, filled with bitter grief. She tells Will that the sudden wealth destroyed Burrell. He drank himself to a stupor and died, wasting every second. The lesson is clear. In this world, throwing time at a problem without changing the system only creates new tragedies. With death looming in hours, Will spots Sylvia's diamond earrings. They pawn them, buying themselves 2 precious days. Now Will puts his plan into action. He calls Philippe Weiss from a phone booth, with Raymond listening in. Will reveals he has Sylvia and makes his demand. In exchange for her safe return, Philippe must distribute 10,000 years to the poor of Dayton via the time bank by the next morning. For Philippe, the amount is trivial, but the principle is not. He refuses to compromise the system. Will takes Sylvia to his old home in Dayton. As they wait through the night, she asks about his family. He tells her his mother died the previous night, running out of time just feet from his grasp. Sylvia is horrified, finally understanding the visceral daily terror of the ghetto. Her academic knowledge of the system becomes a personal outrage. The next morning they watch the time bank. No distribution occurs. Philippe valued the integrity of his economic system over his own daughter's safety. This betrayal is Sylvia's turning point. She sees her father not as a businessman, but as the heart of a monstrous machine. Seeing her disillusionment, Will decides to let her go. He takes her to a phone booth to call her father for a pickup, even giving her a weapon for protection. As Sylvia is on the call, Raymond sneaks up, aiming his gun at Will. Sylvia, in a panic, turns and fires, wounding Raymond in the arm. Will rushes over. Raymond's clock is critically low. Timekeepers only get a day's pay at a time, and his is almost up. Will realizes Raymond will bleed out before help arrives. In a moment of profound irony, Will, the fugitive, saves the timekeeper who hunts him. He transfers 2 hours of his own precious time into Raymond's clock, then takes Raymond's car and flees with Sylvia. By shooting a timekeeper, Sylvia is now a wanted criminal herself, irrevocably bound to Will and his cause. Will tells Sylvia she can still walk away, return to her gilded cage. But Sylvia has tasted real freedom and purpose for the first time. Her life in New Greenwich was one of luxurious confinement under her father's control. Here, in the gritty reality of the ghetto, she is free to make her own choices. More importantly, she has seen the truth of the system with her own eyes. She chooses to stay. She becomes Will's partner in crime, and together they become modern-day Robin Hoods. Using Sylvia's insider knowledge of New Greenwich's security and her father's banking empire, they plan a series of daring heists. They target Philippe Weiss's time banks, knowing the centuries stored there were earned from the deaths of the poor. They break into vaults, steal capsules filled with thousands of years, and redistribute the time directly to the people in Dayton. They become folk heroes to the poor and public enemy number 1 to the establishment. The government places a massive bounty of 10 years on their heads. This bounty attracts the most dangerous hunter of all, Fortis. The time thief who stole from them before is now obsessed with claiming the prize. Will and Sylvia stay on the move, but Fortis tracks them to a hotel where they have bought temporary safety by renting every room. Fortis captures some locals who owe Will and Sylvia their lives. Under torture, one man breaks and reveals their location. Fortis and his gang storm the hotel and capture the duo. Cornered, Will is given a brutal choice: refuse a time fight and be killed by the gang, or accept Fortis's challenge. He chooses to fight. They lock hands, and the deadly transfer begins. Fortis, a seasoned veteran of these fights, quickly gains the upper hand, forcing Will's arm down and draining his time at an alarming rate. Will seems to be letting it happen, conserving his strength. He allows his clock to drain down to its very last seconds. 3, 2. At the final moment, with nothing left to lose, Will summons a desperate, explosive surge of strength. He slams Fortis's arm down, violently reversing the flow. As Fortis's men stare in shock at their dying boss, Will pulls a hidden gun from his boot and shoots them all. Fortis's clock hits 0, and the gang is wiped out. But Will and Sylvia's victory is short-lived. They emerge to see their efforts have been for nothing. The rich have simply manipulated the system again. triggering hyperinflation in the ghetto. The years they distributed are now worth almost nothing. The system automatically corrects to keep the poor in their place. Will is crushed, feeling ultimate defeat. He tells Sylvia it's over. They can't win by playing within a rigged game. No matter how much time they steal, the elite will just devalue it. Sylvia, however, refuses to give up. She insists there must be another way, a way to break the game itself. And Will realizes the only solution is scale. They need to steal so much time that even hyperinflation can't devalue it fast enough. They need to steal 1,000,000 years and flood the zone. Sylvia devises a daring plan. The next morning, she walks into her father Felipe's heavily fortified office headquarters and pretends to surrender. As all guards train their guns on her, Will, who had infiltrated the building disguised as a guard, steps out and holds a gun to Felipe's head. Under duress, Felipe opens his personal vault. Inside is a single, unique time capsule containing 1,000,000 years, the ultimate reserve, the foundation of the entire system's wealth, every second of it extracted from the poor. Will and Sylvia take the capsule and make their escape. This triggers a final, desperate chase. Timekeeper Raymond Leon is alerted. He is down to less than an hour on his own clock and calls for his salary capsule to be sent to him. But before he can receive it, he spots Will and Sylvia's getaway car. He abandons his own life-saving transfer to pursue them, knowing that if 1,000,000 years reaches the ghetto, the entire economic system will collapse. Will and Sylvia outmaneuver Raymond and race back to Dayton. They don't distribute the time themselves. Instead, in a powerful symbolic act, they hand the 1,000,000-year capsule to a little girl, the next generation, trusting the people to share it. They then flee to a remote industrial zone to draw the pursuit away from the populace. Their plan works. In Dayton, the people share the unimaginable wealth, granting each other immortality. The ghetto is transformed almost instantly. But for Will and Sylvia, the cost is high. They are cornered by Raymond in the wasteland, and their own clocks are down to just minutes. Raymond demands they return the time. Will shows him his nearly empty clock and delivers a devastating line. "Don't forget you owe me time." He reminds Raymond of the 2 hours he gave him when he was bleeding out. In his obsession, Raymond forgot to check his own clock. He looks down to see he has only 5 seconds left. He dies before their eyes. Will and Sylvia are safe from Raymond, but now face death themselves, with only a minute each and no one around to help. In a cruel echo of his mother's death, Will and Sylvia embrace, preparing to die together. Then, Will sees Raymond's car. He sprints to it and finds Raymond's just-delivered salary capsule. He transfers the time into his own clock, then turns and runs toward Sylvia, who is already running toward him, her clock blinking down its final seconds. It is the same desperate race he lost with his mother. This time, as Sylvia stumbles, Will reaches her. Their hands clasp, and he transfers time just as her clock hits 0. He saves her. In the end, their revolution is a success. The people of Dayton, now with limitless time, no longer need to slave in factories to buy another day. They walk peacefully across the zone borders, rendering the walls and the entire oppressive system obsolete. Will and Sylvia together have not just stolen time, they have changed the world. The movie ends with them watching as the old order begins to crumble, having finally won their race against time. On IMDb, the film has an average rating of 6.7 out of 10, based on over 478,000 viewer ratings. We hope you enjoyed this movie explanation. If you did, please share it with your friends and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching.